The Pulsion Podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the Pulsion Podcast. This is your host, Avishai. Today I have not one, but three special guests. First, Luca Flabbi, professor of economics at the University of North Carolina, whose work spans labor markets, gender inequality, and psychoanalytic theory. Next, we have Glauco M, a Milan-based psychiatrist and psychologist, and a close collaborator of Giacomo Contri. And finally, Gabriella Pediconi, professor of dynamic psychology at the University of Urbino. They're all members of the Società Amici del Pensiero in Milan and key figures in the work and legacy of Giacomo Contri. I'm speaking to them ahead of their 3-day seminar at Pulsion, The Good of the Analyst. They each deserve much longer introductions, but I want to get right into what I think is going to be a fascinating conversation. So thank you all very much for being here with me. I want to start from a very fundamental, basic question. The name of your seminar is The Good of the Analyst. What is the good of the analyst?
Yes, this is the theme of this workshop. So the good of the analyst. Well, there is also another question, if there is anything good with the analyst. What we propose following Giacomo Contri writing is that good is a product, and this was a little bit the theme of the workshop yesterday. And more concisely, we may even say, linking to the good, that the analyst cannot do good, but he or she knows it. So there is a difference between doing good and knowing good. And the do good is a very old question, not only on psychoanalysis, but for the entire humanity, is this active act of doing good. So there is a sense of direction of doing good. And the comparison or the polemic here, if you want, is one example of that is the comparison with medicine. Medicine, you break your leg, I do good by put you in a cast. Okay? This is not what's happening with psychoanalysis. You cannot do good. And this is even more general in the everyday life of all of us. We cannot do good, but we can receive good through the others. And with this, I've already anticipated a lot, so we can continue to discuss this sentence. I'm seeing from your face that you immediately have questions about it. But I also will pass it along to Gabriella, because in this do good versus receiving good, what is involved is really the relationship between the subject and the other.
Please.
Yes, I can add that this is The Good of the Analyst is the title of this Giacomo Contri writings that we translated in English. And the general theme, psychoanalytic theme, is the technique, the psychoanalytic technique. So Contri synthesized in this paper main questions of psychoanalysts from the Freud's time, and give a new light on principal concepts in psychoanalytic technique. And you can hear, if you are a psychoanalyst, something that is very relevant for your practice, but you can also hear something new that is very close to his work as a Freudian after Lacan. That was a way in which he would like to define his work in psychoanalysis.
Freudian after Lacan.
Yes, Freudian after Lacan. Yes. And is also our idea that we try to transmit in this seminar.
if Lacan returned to Freud, so Contri returned to Freud after Lacan returned
exactly.
to Freud.
So it's two movement. It's
Yes.
very interesting because he took something from Lacanian Freudian return and transform in new way that he defined as juridical way in psychoanalysis. That is something new.
Yes, I already have so many questions. We'll come back to this word juridical that raises some questions. But before, I want to ask about still the good of the analyst. You know, myself, and maybe speaking for many younger analysts, have a lot of ambition and desire to be good, to do good work. And, you know, we speak a lot about this desire of the analyst. And I wonder if and when the desire to do good and be good, and more so to add value, you also use this word value a lot, right? There's a natural pressure of like someone's coming into a room, you want to give them something, you want to give them value, you want to do good. Can this desire do the opposite? Can it hinder or distract or even destruct something to the way of doing good?
I answered, and let's see what my friends here think. But my answer will be yes. You've been talking about desire, but you'll also be talking about pressure. That definitely is not producing good. And this is true for the analyst, but it's true in any of our other relationships. You can think with my lover, I want to do good. With my daughters, I want to do good. What we propose, again, following what Gabriella already has anticipated before, following what Contri is proposing, is something that is true for the analyst and the analysand, but it's true for any relationship. That is, again, I was mentioning briefly before, you cannot do good, but you can work in order to receive good through the work of the other. Okay? So this is inversion. And the other, your other, okay, so let's say I'm the subject that is working to receive good through the work of the other. That other, herself, say my lover, is also a subject working to receive good through me. So this exchangeable relationship of working to produce and receive good, you were mentioning value, so we are creating something new that was not there before. And this good that we are talking about now, we can, bring it a little bit down from this, high-minded definition, and that is the satisfaction of the subject, of the body of the subject, right? The embodied satisfaction of that is not really a process. The word for this dynamic that Contri uses is law. That's why the juridical. And so it's a law that is very different. I mean, in a sense, is following Lacan's question about the law or investigation about the law, and gives an answer that it's probably different from Lacan, because this is a law embodied in the subject and the work of the subject through the other. So, with desire and satisfaction, I pass it to Gabriella.
I can try, because it's very interesting that you refer about the young psychoanalysts. So, young psychoanalysts, you're right, it can have a pressure to have a good practice, to give good practice. But it's could be very useful to come back to Freud, to the passage that he realized when he abandoned the hypnosis, that were very active, in which he was a doctor, and he managed psyche of patients. Okay, he decided to abandon hypnosis because there was something different in analytic treatment. And when he posed the free associations as a method, he realized a big change, because free associations is a task of analysant and is a parallel task of analyst, that is to listen to. So, but it's not the opposite position, but two positions of the same law, because in order to obtain satisfaction, both of them join their work in order to obtain what? To obtain the psychoanalytic treatment. So is what you said about the desire of a psychoanalyst is very important to manage. It is very important for the analyst to have his treatment before. Yes. It's very important to manage their own desires, their own pressure, his own experience, previous experience, in order to obtain a new way, a new practice in favor of satisfaction of both analysant and analyst, I think.
I don't know if you, Glauco, wanted to say something about this.
Ho letto da qualche parte, non ricordo quale autore lacaniano, l'importanza del rapporto tra figura e sfondo. E questo credo che ci aiuti a capire il titolo di questo saggio, Il bene dell'analista. Quando Contri l'ha scritto nel 94, io lo conoscevo già da 20 anni, ma è un titolo sorprendente.
So if we need to translate, I have to stop you. So so Glauco is following on your question on desire and linking it back to the debate at the time. And at the time, Lacan was a title of an essay, and the difference between the background and the figure. So that title and that debate has informed this writing by Contri, and also the title that Contri gives to this essay.
Perché quindi l'ha intitolato Il bene dell'analista? Contri ha usato questo titolo provocatorio in un momento in cui non era affatto chiaro che cosa ci guadagnavano i due dal trattamento analitico. Contri provoca e chiede: che ci guadagna il paziente? Che ci guadagna l'analista?
Yes, this is a very good point, actually, because at that time, a little bit the debate was, what do we gain from the psychoanalytic treatment? Mm-hmm. What does the analyst gain? What the analysant gains? Mm-hmm. So the provocation of the title is that there is a gain, and actually this word gain is a synonym of good. Mm-hmm. A good product is a production where we gain. And we can say we gain satisfaction, but there could be also byproduct of that gain. You know, I can gain money, okay? But that's the gain is the very good description of good. Mm-hmm. And so all that writing is what we gain from the psychoanalytic treatment, of course, linked to the cure too.
E l'ultima cosa è questa: io penso che la colpa più grossa che noi abbiamo, noi psicoanalisti italiani che abbiamo seguito Contri, è di avere tradotto troppo poco in inglese quello che lui ha scritto. Io vi metto al primo posto perché non lo parlo neanche l'inglese, ma la dottoressa Pediconi, che è qui alla mia sinistra, ha pubblicato almeno 2 articoli sulla tecnica analitica, perché la cosa curiosa è che questo bene dell'analista si applica ed è un commento alla tecnica freudiana. E in un secondo di questi articoli ha ospitato anche un mio pezzo, perché abbiamo fatto delle scoperte, che la parola neutralità non era in Freud, per esempio, il controtransfer neanche. Qui c'è da fare una vera rivoluzione.
The first is an admission of guilt for us because we didn't push to translate enough of Contri. Because so one, and again entering more in the issue that we are discussing, the good is also the technique. The technique is a good that creates the favorable condition in the service of producing the good. And for a couple of papers that they wrote with Gabriella and Glauco together, they made some discovery going back to Freud again. So, for example, counter-transference is not a Freudian term. Neutrality is not a Freudian term that then came back later in the technique. So the technique for Freud is really the Grundregel of floating attention and the free association.
So let me see if I follow. There's kind of a fundamental law to psychoanalysis that implies a system not of opposites but of two positions that complete each other. One is, let's say, more passive, that's my word, on the side of listening, the analyst. One is more active on the side of speaking, and we cannot exactly do good. We can receive good from the other. And that leads me to my next question about technique. Well, how do we do it? Or if we don't do good, what do we do?
Right. So, I mean, first, this law, okay, let's give it the name or the label that Contri has chosen, is the law of motion of human bodies. And is what we were describing a moment ago. I work through, even put the other in favorable condition or exciting the other to work so that I can receive satisfaction through her. So the exchangeability is also very important. The moment that in two positions are fixed, I am always the subject, you are always the other, there is no production that can take place. And this is true for any relationship, and it's true also as an application, as a specific application of this law that is true for all our relationship in the relationship analyst and analysant. But then that relationship has a difference. What is the difference of that relationship? The technique. And if you want, the very almost slogan we were saying yesterday is that same law, but with two rules that are in a position that complement each other in terms of the rules. So it's not the law that they complement each other. The law is complete, but it's the rules. And the rules are the two different positions that are stated by the Grundrule by Freud. And so this act of talking is the privileged act in an analysis, and it's true that the patient, as favor act of the patient or favor motion of the patient, is talking and the analyst is listening. But favor doesn't mean exclusive. An analyst that only listen, okay? So there is a moment in which you break your floating attention, you decide to say something, what we call the interpretation.
In a challenging way we can answer. I take the place of Giacomo Contri. He used to give this slogan. What is the work of the analyst? Do nothing. Do nothing in sense of do nothing actively, but using and cultivating the receiving position, as you can imagine, listening is absolutely not easy. Or overall at the beginning of the life of an analyst, because as you said before, you have a pressure to do. So in managing your pressure, you are cultivating what? The receiving position. What you said as passive is a very important position to cultivate, as receiving. In receiving, the other, so in this case the analysant, is placed in the other place, and you are cultivating what? Relationship that is a partnership. Because when you wait for, the other can understand, that can say something, can say some memories that negate before, that was very delicate, that was important to working through. So it's like a cultivation of a new relationship that Freud also called transference, that was a new place in which you can work in through all other your relationships of your life. So it's like a new place for your life. And the analyst is very important that manage their own pressure in this, so understand and knows how we can wait for or receiving from. It's not easy, but it's very important. Of course, the personal training is very important to have, again, I'm repeating, to have his own or her own personal training.
Now I feel like I'm receiving free supervision.
Yes. Also, yes.
Well, because this, it comes to mind what you were talking, is also very related to the workshop we are going to have tonight in an hour, because it's about the Freud concept of abstinence.
Yes.
So that's and this cultivation of not objecting. Okay, so this is something that I would like to see if Glauco want to say something about this, because you are going to talk about abstinence tonight.
Non so se ho capito bene la domanda, ma prima ho sentito che lui ha chiesto qualche cosa sul desiderio dell'analista. Quando io ero in analisi eravamo arrivati a un punto tale che dopo qualche anno avrei potuto iniziare a avere il mio studio e cominciare come analista contro il mio supervisore. In quello stesso anno, uno che era qualche anno più di me, era un analista di un'altra associazione, venne a lavorare dove lavoravo io come psichiatra. Per me fu una sorpresa, dico, ma come lui fa già l'analista? La mia testa era torna indietro, fa un lavoro più banale, più generico. No?
Okay, now Glauco, again, we'll talk about abstinence tonight, but now he's giving an example from his own life. So Glauco is a psychiatrist and a psychoanalyst. So when he was doing psychoanalysis and psychoanalytic training with Contri, he was working out also as a psychiatrist in an hospital. And one day, someone that he knew that was already be a psychoanalyst, he started to work as a psychiatrist in the hospital. And he was very puzzled by that. He said, what is he doing? Is he coming back? Is he going back?
Ora si vedrà subito perché porto questo esempio, perché la posizione di Contri dice qual è il desiderio dell'analista. Quindi io chiedo a questo collega, ma come? Sei già in studio come psicoanalista? Perché vieni a lavorare qui nella struttura pubblica con il povera gente, con i matti? Ma lui rispose, ero stufo di chiudermi nel mio studio di analista. Allora io riferisco a Contri.
So this is very, so, and again, it's also related to the desire of the analyst that you were saying before. So Glauco explicitly asked this guy, why you're coming here? I mean, it's a public structure here. People are poorer, less money, a lot of crazy people, if you want to be a little bit trivial. And he said, look, I was fed up of being closed in my psychoanalytic practice.
Così io ho riferito a Contri la risposta che mi ha dato questo collega leggermente più anziano. Ma Contri, che è nel suo stile, mi commuovo, che ha risposto con una domanda. Ha detto, già, ma l'analista nel suo studio cosa fa? Si chiude o si apre? Questo c'entra col desiderio dell'analista.
So yes, so and Glauco said this to Contri, and Contri said, because this guy said I was fed up to being closed in my practice. And he said, yes, but what does the analyst does in the psychoanalytic studio? Is it closed or is it open?
Good. Close himself or open himself or herself. So it's very interesting, because in other occasions of my supervision with Giacomo Contri, he said sometimes that the consulting room of psychoanalyst is like a square, is not a closure, but is a way to give a new light of all of others occasion of a patient's life. But it is also an occasion for the analyst to know experience of others, because analyst doesn't know before what patient is bringing in each session. And this is a very interesting position for the analyst to wait for, but is cultivating, is an active way of his own professional life, to be ready to what the patient can bring in each session. Is not pre-expectations, so it's a way to manage their own or his own expectation. It is very delicate question during our practice.
Reminds me, we won't get into it, but reminds me of Bion's no memory, no desire.
Yeah.
But that was actually my next question, is about abstinence, and also there's this term negative talent.
Yeah.
Maybe whoever wants to maybe can explain more.
But I start only because I leave the floor to Glauco that says something more. Is negative talent. So you can imagine that negative is something negative, but the accent is on talent. Mm-hmm. That is a position that you have to invent, if you want, or to prepare a place for another. That is negative in this sense.
Yes.
You cannot do everything. You have to leave the floor for the work of another. So it's negative in this sense. But now Glauco prepares something more.
And first, something that comes to mind also with the question where we started. So we always think, do good, I have to work to do good, it may be hard, and I have to do good, and pressure and whatever. Much harder receiving good. Much harder. This openness that Gabriella was talking about, formally, how Contri like to use it is not to bring an objection, not to set up an objection to receive good, to receive satisfaction. All the objection to receive satisfaction are pathology. And this, in a sense, is very liberating. I don't have to do, out of this world stuff to be satisfied. Let's start to stop to work against be satisfied. All these objections, all these occasions we lose. This is really working at a loss. I'm working to have a barrier, an objection to receive satisfaction. If you manage to do this, this is the true talent for you in your life, and is the true talent for the analyst. An analyst that knows how to do that, because then the patient sees that you are open to receive benefits.
Beautiful.
And so then Contri, and here I'm saying anticipating something that Glauco is going to say tonight. So Contri was really in search for a word, for an expression to express this type of work of non-objecting, of being open to receive benefit for the entire universe. And the word that he decided to use is this word, negative talent, which is of course very weird, as many words that our dear Giacomo liked to use, but has a very nice literary origin, because it's an expression used by Madame de Staël, I think in Corinne. Do you remember? In which novel?
In a letter to
Yeah,
a lover.
but a letter to a lover. I think I saw it also. So in a letter to a lover, she used this expression because she was saying she was going after this lover too much. There were many things that could have been left, not said, not push him. But I'm not, she said, not very good to have this negative talent. And I think she was right. She didn't let the other guy work. And then, I don't know if you want to add something to this.
No, solo questo, che un buon esempio di che cosa sia il talento negativo ci viene dalla lingua inglese. In inglese, non so se è più in Inghilterra o più negli Stati Uniti, è diventato comunissimo, è diventato un nuovo imperativo. Share your experience, share your emotions. Ma chi l'ha detto? Stati zitto un momento. Chi ti ha detto che gli altri vogliono stare a sentire quello che tu hai da condividere? Passo la parola, ma in italiano il verbo condividere ha due diverse accezioni. Lui è un economista. Se mi spiega adesso qualcosa sul microcredito che io non so, quando me l'ha spiegato io posso dire che condivido la sua opinione, cioè sono d'accordo con lui, o non la condivido, ma io condivido una cosa che è venuta da lui, mentre questa pubblicità che c'è in giro è: hai una roba tua, condividila, ma condividi è proprio quello che non voleva fare Madame de Staël.
Okay, this is very long. But Glauco thinks that the word in English share, to share, and this compulsion to share all the time is the opposite of what we are talking about now. The continue sharing. Who said that I want to hear your sharing? Yeah. Okay, let's work together. But this compulsive sharing is not because you share that is adding any value. Exactly. But it seems, if I share, that is good. We add something, a relationship, a link, contact.
Can I add something about this concept? Very probably is not easy to understand because of a new arrangement of which concept, psychoanalytic concept, because was also the desire, the ambition of Contri, the concept of castration. So negative talent is changed referred to castration, because castration is very negative. Contri was looking for a new light, a new idea about the same Freudian concept or post-Freudian accent about castration as something to need to eliminate. But the question is what you have to eliminate. And an idea of excess. Yes. As when you expect continue something from your love people, you add something to the relationship very uncomfortable. So castration here is to eliminate the excess of expectations.
Yes,
Okay, and this is negative talent.
I see.
So
It
it
is-
could be useful to arrange in this way because it's very common in our relationship, or more in our beloved relationship. So we are close, we expect more. So we add something uncomfortable. We have to eliminate the excess in our relationship to regain the receiving position.
I'm thinking that it's a very radical position, actually. Not just thinking about our own analysis, but society, right? Capitalism, like go get it, especially here in America. It's like hustle mentality that never ends. You can never be enough. You can never do enough. Try harder, do more. You know, wake up 5 a.m. club, wake up at 5 a.m. and meditate and read a book and then start a company and then go to the gym in the evening. It never ends. So this negative talent is actually the exact opposite of it.
Yeah.
It's putting a limit or a castration or limit to this excess, making space, being on the side of the negative or of not having. Maybe I'm also thinking of feminine positions, but that's something else. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, that said, work, it doesn't mean, I mean, do nothing in the way that we are discussing it now is work.
Yes. Paradoxical. Yeah. I really don't know this, but is it intentional that there's language referring to economic models, capitalism, maybe like gain, profit? Is it in reference to something or?
It is intentional. And so Contri did this pretty clear and deep step in bringing the juridical language to psychoanalysis. And every juridical term he used, he was using them in their juridical term and sense. When he say the subject is a legislature, where we are talking about the law, when we are talking about a constitution, he meant it, not metaphorical. He really meant it. And he has used, less so, but he has used also terms and concepts coming from economics. I mean, I don't like a lot to use the word economics because economics is already referring to a particular methodological stance about how to do economic science. So probably we should say economic science. And the word science is actually a word that Contri really liked, but not in a religious way, as is frequently used these days. So he's keep talking about the science of thought. So there are concepts from the economic science that are very valuable. So, and this again is to answer, I keep going back to your question about good. So
Yes.
good is not the good as an abstract entity. Good is only something we can judge on something we have produced. We have produced something that we like, that make us satisfied, and that something can be a novel, can be a kiss, can be making love, can be a car. Okay? So good is any production, and that we judge. There is not an abstract ontological good
see.
out there.
So it's a very practical, real, actionable thing in the
Everyday
world.
life, actionable. Okay, if I'm not misunderstood to be religious, that I don't want to be, I will cite something from the gospel that says, the tree is judged by its fruits. This is a little bit the concept. Okay? There is not the ideal tree that is good or bad. or the ideal analyst that is good or bad, or that analyst is good. I don't know if he's good. That time, that day, with that guy, they did something good.
And also in this case, Contri was Freudian after Lacan, because in Freud is very important in metapsychology. Freud emphasized the economic point of view as the point of view that determines metapsychology. And is very important that also for Freud was very important to distinguish topic point of view, dynamic point of view, and economic point of view. And he said in different his writings that the economic point of view is the core of metapsychology. That means that when you describe psychic life, you need to give a right position of each content based on the relationships of subject. And this is the economy of daily life. Well, and is something very important to describe psychic life also from the Freudian point of view.
To love and to work.
Yeah, for example, yes, to love and to work.
No?
Well, I want to challenge this a little bit. So then, is it too simplistic to say that we can measure the success or failure of analysis in very practical, banal, daily ways, actionable ways?
It's not everything, but it's not something to be discounted. If during a psychoanalytic training you find a new lover, you find a new job, you make more money, it's not everything, but it shouldn't be discounted. It shouldn't be discounted. That's so. The problem with measuring is that it's very bounded and limited, and immediately gives the idea of, okay, that's it. We have measured it, or if it's a little bit below, a little bit above. So it's very risky to say measuring, because the beauty of, humanity, Homo sapiens, is that the satisfaction is unbounded. We are always open to new occasions satisfied. I could have the best night that I had yesterday, and I wake up the day after, and I'm happy to start again.
I agree with this attention about the idea to measure, okay, because it's very practical, it's very based on daily life, yes, but probably the key also economically is the surprise. So subject surprised himself and the analyst with something new that is very linked from his life or her life, that is very linked with the past, with the memories, but is something new. And this new point could be an idea, could be a decision, could be a new judgment, change completely the way to manage daily life, that has some consequences also economically or inside the relationship, but is more, I think, in my practice, for my experience, analytic experience with patients, the key of surprise is more important than the measure. The measure is not exactly what we need to understand what is happening. Is the surprise, because the measure, we can have also some maniac deviation of treatment in the bad way, of course. But the surprise is better, is a key that could be managed more better.
Pochi anni prima di questo scritto del 94, Contri aveva scritto che il criterio stesso che dice che un'analisi sta andando bene si può riassumere della parola sorpresa. finché c'è una sorpresa da una seduta, l'analisi può andare avanti. Quando non ci sono più sorprese, o è finita male, ma è meglio non incontrare più il paziente perché ci sono pericoli.
So actually, the Glauco is recalling. So this is a writing by Contri. When did he say that? He said in a book. In a book, il lavoro psicoanalitico, he said the criteria to see and to judge if psychoanalytic treatment is going well is the surprise. When there are no more surprises, probably it's time to stop it. It's time to end it.
Se posso aggiungere, dato che ero ragazzino nel 68, Contri ha partecipato attivamente al 68 in Francia, a Parigi. Io penso che questo criterio del guadagno, il bene dell'analista o della sorpresa, è il frutto di una bella testa, cioè la testa di Contri che è uscito dal 68. Il 68 è stato melanconico. Nel 70 i Beatles si sono sciolti dopo 10 anni di successi enormi e la loro ultima canzone dice "And in the end the love you take is equal to the love you make", cioè pari. I Beatles vogliono dire tutti abbiamo fatto pari nella nostra esperienza, è melanconico. Contri e la psicoanalisi non è melanconico.
Yes, so that is the last song by the Beatles.
Yes.
And it says the love you take is the love you make, is equal to the love you make. So this idea of parity is exactly the opposite of the law that we are trying to describe now.
Yes.
There is some surprise, surplus, value, addition, that what is produced there is never, whatever we put in is what we get out. That idea is melancholia. And so Glauco interpretation of the 68 movement is that after this beginning of new things, new idea, new surprise, then there has been a tendency to end in this melancholia. And biographically, Contri did the 68 in France, actually, where he was very, very active because at the time he was in France. So that also something that informed his thinking. And he recognized some of these melancholic direction that some part of the movement take. And what we are trying to say is exactly the opposite.
However, I'm still thinking of satisfaction. Is it true to say that both sides seek satisfaction, like the analyst and the analysand? And if so, it sounds almost forbidden for the analyst to seek satisfaction, right? We're supposed to be, I don't know, objects, and then there's one subject in a room if you're Lacanian or whatever. Do we both sides seek satisfaction in the same way, or?
Let me tell you, it's not forbidden. It's not forbidden. But it's more so, if you forbid that to yourself, it's very hard. I would say it's impossible to create surprise, to create new production, new good. So both are seeking satisfaction. And it's exactly.
What is the satisfaction we're seeking as analysts?
It's the same satisfaction that the patient is
The same.
seeking. It's not on that we are different. It's not that we have a different type of satisfaction, or that one seeks satisfaction and the other seek, money. It's not on that we are different. We are different in the technique. We are different in the rule. That's the only difference. And that's is the difference in the psychoanalytic treatment and relationship, and is the difference of that relationship between that relationship and any other. The only difference is the technique. It's not that we seek a different satisfaction, we seek the intellectual versus the bodily. No.
Uh-huh.
That's my pretty strong view on this.
We can say also, probably this, I imagine now, a practitioner, so a young analyst, what satisfaction can obtain in a session that he could feel not so good. There is some session in which analysts can be not so sure about. So in general, okay. What is the satisfaction at that point? Technique. To pause, to offer technique. Because it's very important to the position of offering. And if there was the session in which there was some free associations, in which he was ready to receive, so was an opportunity to working through. This is very important, because what has the analyst to offer, what he can offer? Technique. Because psychoanalytic technique is different from all other psychotherapies. All others. It's very important. We are bringing in the world something very precious, I think.
Absolutely. Do you need to finish? Yes. Oh, is it at 6:30 or 7?
7.
Okay, but you'll take a little break.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll wrap it up here. Thank you so much. That was fascinating. I could continue for another hour. Looking forward to your event. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you too. Thank you, really.
Thank you too much for the invitation.
Grazie.
Grazie.